Hello. How is it going? I just wanted to take a few minutes just to share the story of how God changed my life. And I have something called the reveal cards here that I'm going to use. So it's a bunch of pictures that I'm going to answer 6 questions and use pictures to answer the question just to give you just to share what God did in my life because I wasn't always I didn't care about him. And I really cared more about myself. And I just want to tell you how he changed my life. Let me tell you the first question I have here, and I'm going to just read it off the card, is which picture describes how you viewed God before coming to know him personally? So the picture that I would use is this one here. That's how I viewed God. Growing up, I knew God existed, and I really knew he created everything, and he was big. But I just kind of also thought he was out there somewhere, not real involved in life. And, actually there's this one time, I think I was 10, I wrote an article about there's a cross in Denver that people have up with lights, and they were going to have to tear it down. And I wrote an article saying, God's up there crying right now that you would take down the cross. So I had an awareness of God and I believed in God, but I thought we were just hurting him. I didn't think he was in control of anything. I didn't think, he was really that personal. I just thought he was there getting hurt by us. So, hi, Joy. Okay, so that's the answer to my first one. This is how I viewed God before I came to know him personally. The second question asks, which picture describes a predominant type of sin that separated you from God? For instance, pride, greed, lust, selfishness, envy, lying, idolatry. And my big one okay, there. This is the one I would choose because even though fear in itself isn't a sin, but that is what kept me from God. I was completely controlled by fear. Completely. Most people probably can't understand the type of fear I'm talking about, but it's fear that gripped me. It controlled me. I would not talk to people because I was terrified of people. And it was sometimes the fear was so great that I thought I would die from the feeling of fear. So it controlled my life. Fear controlled me. So I couldn't know God personally. I couldn't do what he wanted me to do because of the fear that controlled everything. I thought I wouldn't talk to people because I was terrified of them. So that is what kept me from God. The third question asks, what picture describes how you came to realize your need for Christ? When I was 11, I had this sweet girl invite me somewhere. But first, okay, we went to this barbecue, and my mom and my stepdad made me go talk to this girl, and I was terrified because I was so scared of people. And she finally, they gave me this look like, you are in the biggest trouble if you don't go talk to that girl, And so I went and talked to her, and I was so scared, but she was so sweet and she was so friendly. I was like, hey, do you want to come play with us? And so I went, and we were like playing on, like running on barrels and stuff. And she invited me to her church. And I thought, oh, because she was going to be in a play and she wanted me to watch her in the play. So I went to watch her in the play. And when I was there, I had a really interesting experience that I'm not going to go into with God, where I knew that God was happy with me going there. So I went home and I told my mom, and I said, Mom, I think God wants us to go to this church. And so we came back, and the pastor at the time, I'm 11, all right? He, after the service, comes up to me and is like, hey, have you accepted Christ? Or something like that, where I had no clue what he was talking about. And I thought, well, I believe in God. Is that what he's asking me? And so I was like, what? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He's like, why don't you come back to my office afterwards? And then he came, and we went back there, and he walked through what question am I on here? Well, I'll show you this picture because this is the next one. Okay, describes how you came to realize your need for Christ. Okay, so that's this question here. That is the picture that describes how I came to see my need for Christ, because he walked through what the Bible had to say about me and my standing before God. And he talked about sin, and like the great commandments. Have you ever stolen? Yes. Have you ever lied? Yes. Have you ever disobeyed your parents? Yes. Okay, so if I were to stand before God and I were have to say I'm innocent or I'm guilty, I would have to say I was guilty. And so the Bible is actually what caused me to see my need for Jesus because I was guilty before him. So that's how I came to see my need for Jesus, because I realized I'm guilty before the living God of the universe. I'm guilty and there's nothing I can do about it. And how then the Bible explains that the payment or the wages of my guilt is death. It's spiritual separation from God. Therefore, I cannot be with him for all of eternity because of my guilt before him. And then he explained the good news and about how God put on skin in the form of Jesus Christ, and he lived the perfect life I couldn't live. And then he died and rose himself from the dead to show that he was the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through Jesus Christ. And hearing that was like, oh, I just never heard that before. He was the first one to explain that to me. And the next question is, what picture describes how you felt when you first realized you could be forgiven and transformed through Christ? So how I felt when I first heard that is this picture here. I just felt comforted. I felt freedom. I felt cared for. That the God of the universe, he knew I was guilty. He knew there was absolutely nothing I could do to erase my guilt. It was done. I couldn't make my good outweigh my bad. And I just felt so incredibly cared for, like a father cares for a daughter, that he would lay his life down for me to make a way for me to be forgiven. So that is how I felt. The next question is, okay, which picture describes how you let Christ have control of your life? Okay, so I chose this picture here, which is someone offering a gift. And I would choose that one because he offers the free gift of salvation. He offered it saying, I want to forgive you, but you must receive that gift. It's kind of like if someone were giving you $100, they could hand it to you. Oh, let's see if I could there you go. Here, take this. But until you actually take it and say, yes, I need that and I'm going to take it, it's not yours. So it was at that point in his office where I realized, I'm guilty and I need forgiveness. Here is Jesus offering me the gift of forgiveness. And so I just prayed and I said, God, I'm sorry that I have sinned and I've fallen short of your standard of perfection. I'm guilty. Would you please forgive me? And I took that gift of forgiveness. And at that moment, he did. He forgave everything in the past and everything in the future and made me a new creation. And then the last question here is, what picture describes how God changed your life? Okay, and I would use this one because this is just a bunch of people talking. At that moment, that fear that controlled me was gone. Hi, Eden. That fear was gone. He removed it. He took it away and he changed me from the inside out, and he made me no longer afraid of people, but wanting to approach them, wanting to tell them about the gift that he gave me, that he offers to them too. So that is how he changed me in a ton of other ways too. I could probably talk all day about the ways that he changed me. So I just wanted to share, that's how God changed my life. I didn't grow up in a Christian family. I didn't know this until I was 11. And so I just am hoping to be able to share this with different countries and stuff, to be able to tell them that Jesus Christ is the only way to the Father, and he can change them and change you just the way that he has changed me. He offers that same gift of forgiveness because you haven't measured up to his standard of perfection. He offers you forgiveness if you would want to confess and receive the gift that he's given.